Hey guys, so I'm back again today with another video, and today we will be talking about the case of Sierra Lamar. It is a true crime case, and unfortunately this young girl was murdered. So if you haven't heard of this case before, Sierra Lamar was a 15-year-old girl from Morgan Hill in California who was tragically murdered. There is reason to believe that Sierra was murdered, although unfortunately no one actually really knows what happened to Sierra, as her body has never been located. Now let's just discuss the events that led to her assumed death. It was the 16th of March 2012, and Sierra began to walk to her normal bus stop, which was located in Morgan Hill. She was on her way to school that morning, but unfortunately she never arrived. Her mother obviously freaked out when she didn't return home from school that day, later realizing that she hadn't even gone to school, so immediately she contacted the police. The next day, search and rescue efforts actually located Sierra's phone, which was nearby the bus stop that she was last seen at. Not too long after this, they also found Sierra's school bag that she had with her at the time of her disappearance. The bag had a pair of pants and a t-shirt inside. At this point in time, the search and rescue efforts really tried searching in all the surrounding areas of water for any possible remains of Sierra. Police then decided to run DNA tests off the pants and shirt that were located in Sierra's bag, and this resulted with a match to a man named Antolin Garcia Torres, and he is actually the main suspect for this case. Because his DNA was actually found on the pair of pants in Sierra's school bag, his home was actually under 24-hour surveillance by the police. On the 7th of April that same year, so not even a month after Sierra went missing, police seized Garcia's car in order to search it for evidence. Only 2 weeks later, police had enough grounds on which to arrest Antolin with in regards to Sierra's disappearance. They actually arrested him for the kidnap and murder of Sierra, which was kind of a bit strange at the time as they still hadn't found Sierra's body, so there was really no evidence to prove that she was actually murdered. And if you didn't know this already, it's actually quite hard to have a murder trial with no evidence that the victim has actually been murdered. But this is exactly what they did. In November that same year, Antolin was actually accused of kidnap of 3 different women. They all had claimed that he had tried to kidnap them while they were in the car parks of different Safeway stores. On the 13th of February 2014, Antolin actually pleaded not guilty to the charges of kidnapping and murder. The prosecutors were actually trying to seek the death penalty for Antolin, but this never ended up happening. The trial was then set for Antolin for April 2016, but it was eventually pushed back to January of 2017. The trial took place in the Santa County Courthouse of San Jose, and they expected the trial to last up to 5 months. The prosecutors within this case really faced a pretty hard task, as they were trying to get a murder conviction when there was no concrete or physical evidence that a murder had actually taken place. The prosecutors had no body, they had no autopsy, and they had no witnesses to this supposed crime that had happened. The defense, so Antolin's defense, had tried to claim that Sierra was not actually murdered. They suggested that she had just run away from her family instead, and they tried to blame that on the fact that she was unhappy with her home life and unhappy that her family had recently moved to Morgan Hill from their previous home that was located in Fremont. But I think that's a pretty silly argument in my personal opinion, because how could a girl 15 years old disappear without a single trace? And that obviously doesn't explain how Antolin's DNA was found on Sierra's jeans. And he really just claimed that he had never met her, didn't know who she was, so obviously there was something sus going on there. The physical evidence that police were able to find really did help get a conviction for this case. So forensic analysis were actually able to find DNA of Sierra's within Antolin's car. So that pretty much blew it straight away, as he claimed that he had never met her. A strand of Sierra's hair was actually found in the boot of Antolin's car on a piece of rope, which, if you're saying that you've never met someone before and then their hair turns up in the boot of your car on a piece of rope, you're obviously lying. The DNA proves otherwise. In addition to the DNA of Sierra's found in his car on the piece of rope, there was also other traces of Sierra's DNA throughout his car. Also, Antolin really didn't have a solid alibi for the time that Sierra went missing, which additionally didn't really help his case. He told police that on the morning of Sierra's disappearance, he went on a fishing trip, but he had no one to back up this alibi. Prosecutors claimed that Antolin had around about 5 hours of unexplained time, in which the prosecutors claimed that he could have easily had enough time to murder and dispose of Sierra's body. The trial ended up lasting about 4 months, but after only 2 days of deliberations, on the 9th of May 2017, the jury was able to convict Antolin of the murder and kidnapping of Sierra Lamar. This was regardless of the fact that her body still hasn't been found. Antolin was then sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. So that's all the evidence that I have for the case of Sierra Lamar. Although it is so heartbreaking that the Lamar family will never really get a true answer to what happened to Sierra, but I am glad to see that forensic evidence was actually able to convict Antolin of the murder, even though her body has never been found, which is pretty amazing that technology these days is able to do something like that. Kind of helps solve these cases that may never been solved otherwise. This video may be a bit shorter than usual, but that's really all the information that I could find, and I had been requested by someone to do this video, so I thought that I would do it regardless. As always, if you have any suggestions for other videos that you might like me to do, you can leave those down in the comments, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Bye!